start there because that gives us a bit of a guideline on, okay, this is at least a good definition that we can use. Now we might disagree or agree with them, but then we'll go from there.
Imagine disagreeing with Aristotle.
I disagree with Plato on his definition of art.
Oh man, I want to hear this.
Well,
so
no, I could be wrong.
What was his definition of art?
Oh man, it was.
I remember it was.
Oh please.
I mean, he basically. I didn't see a definition, but in the Republic, in his book, he wrote about art being mimesis.
Okay, imitation. Is that what that means? Yeah. Art is imitation, is what he said.
Yeah, and when he says mimesis, that's not a good thing.
No,
in Platonian terms. Yeah, because so he had the theory of forms, right, where he thought everything, our reality is just a mere shadow of the ultimate reality, which is the world of forms.
Yeah, and I hate his conception of forms. By the way, it's because I don't understand it.
Hate it? Why do you hate
because I don't understand it. But I don't like the idea that what we perceive is only a shadow of reality. Like I feel like I'm perceiving reality. Don't tell me I'm not. But I'm very not clued into what he fully means by forms. So
yeah, I don't think we really understand it.
Not nearly enough. But I think his perception of art is an imitation of an imitation. Like it's so far removed.
You're thrice removed from the truth.
And that's where I disagree with Plato. I think art is not it's not layers removed. It actually points deeper to the truth. You to
be saying this
I'm not saying I'm right. This is where my mind leads me. Like I don't think art is any lesser. Like I think Jordan Peterson talks about maybe it was him. Actually, it might not have been. He said I could write down exactly what I did yesterday, line by line, and that's true. But I can read Crime and Punishment or another great novel, and even though it never happened and it's fiction, there's more truth in that than what I did yesterday. Now that's art pointing to deeper truths than actual truths. I think art can push you closer to a more full, accurate view of reality. I don't think it takes you out of it. By definition, maybe Plato is right. Like, yes, you're interpreting now a layer removed, but I think it can point you. It's like a shortcut to get to the actual layer that you're seeking, which is God, I guess. I mean, he never says like the highest form is God. He wasn't a theist. So, but that's what the natural conclusion would be. So art is just a shortcut to get there.
A shortcut to get there, or maybe a reflection of the divine, or
But I think he just looks down upon that. He says like, stop looking at art. In fact, barely look in front of you. Look deeper into the forms. But I feel like this is what we got, and this could be a really good tool to get all the way over here. That's why I say
that's kind of what Aristotle said as well. Aristotle disagreed. So I guess I would feel more comfortable saying
I agree with Aristotle.
as opposed to I disagree with Plato. But
me too.
I think Plato warned against art because I read more into it, and he actually in the Republic he also talks about he says art is dangerous. He doesn't say we don't need art. Okay. I think he was just very cautious about it. He didn't want people to, because Plato he emphasized truth, and he says art can really pull you away from truth.
That I do agree
if you let yourself be seduced in a way by the emotional appeal of it without using your actually faculties of reasoning.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that actually makes a lot of sense. Art can definitely at least distort the truth, and because you're separating it one more layer of reality, and you're putting your own twist on it and your own interpretation of some deeper truth.
And it could be an incorrect interpretation by the artist. And that's what he talked about Homer, for example. He hated Homer. Did you know this?
No.
Yeah, he said that we need to get Homer out of the city because he doesn't know what he's writing about. He writes these beautiful stories, and I don't know if he gave credit to the artistic merit of his stories. Maybe. I mean,
okay, but we'll get into talking about the difference between artistic good and moral good within art.
Yeah,
but at least here you're talking about the moral good of Homer's art.
Yeah, so he said Homer doesn't know what he's talking about, and we've talked about this before, right? How
that's so uncomfortable.
We romanticize the idea of artists have no idea what they're creating, and it's so profound and so beautiful and so good, and that's like amazing. But no, I mean, I think that's a romantic view of it, but you can also see the danger of that. If an artist has no idea what he's creating and he's misguided, which is kind of what Plato was getting at, then they can really deceive and it maybe even inspire evil or people to do evil.
That's a good point. I mean, it's not like Plato's stupid. I completely understand that, and I agree with that part of it. I just think he's not giving artists enough credit. If that's the interpretation. I didn't know that he disagreed with Homer, but he's wrong to disagree with Homer then, because Homer, that's literally the oldest book. Is that not it? Like the Odyssey, or not the Odyssey, the Iliad? Is that not the earliest written?
It's definitely a foundational when it comes to storytelling.
I would argue that will outlive Plato.
Yeah, but that's not an argument for it being
Yes,
good.
it is, because it points to truth in a way that is more easily accessible for us.
So I guess Plato's, I didn't read that much into why he hated Homer, or why he didn't like Homer. Hate's a strong word.
Yeah, we're putting words into Plato's mouth, and he's not here to defend himself.
No, in Republic, he said we need to get Homer out of the city.
Okay,
so I think hate is a safe word to use. So I think so Homer portrayed heroes, right? And he had these epics and journeys, the hero's journey. But some of the heroes are very immoral. So
immoral?
Immoral. To the point where it's like it's kind of like Machiavellian
Okay,
ends
we're
justify the means. And so I guess Plato and then you think about what I guess we can get into Aquinas too and the principle of integral good. If there, for example, in Homer, you can have this heroic, virtuous character, hero, that's inspiring for people to pursue virtue. But in the first act, he does this thing that's questionable, and then Homer doesn't really re-acknowledge the fact like there's no consequences for the evil.
Not always, yeah.
So then you can kind of glorify that small aspect of evil that maybe occurred offhandedly in the beginning of the story. And I think Plato would have said that just that is
disqualifies the whole thing.
From being morally good. Right. Not to say it's not artistically
good. No, but
this
ties directly into what I'm sure we'll continue talking about later in this conversation with shows like Peaky Blinders or Breaking Bad, where they're not inherently immoral works of art, which we can get more, go deeper into that later. But they're definitely not always condemning every single bad action that the character might take. But the reason that I would say that I might disagree with Plato in that interpretation of Homer and in the Iliad or the Odyssey is that it shows truth. Like the truth is that we are not all virtuous characters, and it would be bad art for every character to have to be morally upstanding, and it's just not real.
And that's why it's good, because it's real, because evil is a reality of world.
Yes.
So Hemingway said, in order for some writing to be good, for art to be good, it has to be true.
Yes.